of America, and they don't like most of the Trump voters because they are Americans. And De Niro, how stupid is he without a script? Isn't that amazing? I used to think, wow, that guy's brilliant. But once you take the words away from him, he is so stupid. Then when he goes, impeachment will make America great again, and everybody's, how intellectually deprived he is. He's a coke-addled simpleton, without a script. It is hysterical.
Greg Gutfeld didn't just clap back at Robert De Niro. He detonated him with words sharper than any Hollywood script ever penned. In under 5 minutes, Gutfeld dismantled the tough guy image De Niro still clings to like it's the 90s, turning what should have been a proud comeback into a full-blown public demolition. It was the perfect collision of wit and reality, a wrecking ball made of pure sarcasm and truth that hit harder than any movie punchline. With surgical precision, Gutfeld sliced through De Niro's self-important persona, twisting decades of performative outrage into a running joke that burned hotter than the reviews of his last few box office flops. This wasn't a debate. It was a roast-turned knockout. And De Niro? He stood there, stunned, as Gutfeld, armed with smirks and ruthless facts, exposed the hollow thunder behind his angry snarls and left him speechless.
Last night, an elderly, confused man went missing in New York. Luckily, a band of self-satisfied elitists found him babbling on the street, threw some pants on him, gave him a stage.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to say one thing. Trump.
It kills me. Talk about persuasive. Really, I was on the fence about Trump, but then I decided to really listen to one of the great generational leaders of American pop culture. And the clenched fists at the end, that really drove it home. It looked like he was pressing a 2-pound weight in a Jenny Craig commercial.
Oh, my God.
Look at it again. It's so cute.
Greg Gutfeld didn't come to chat. He came to swing. He walked in with the force of a verbal hurricane, tearing the mask off Hollywood's fake virtue and exposing its shiny hypocrisy for the world to see. And right in the blast zone stood Robert De Niro, the self-proclaimed moral compass of the red carpet elite. The same guy who thinks yelling political slogans in a tuxedo somehow counts as activism. But Gutfeld didn't need cameras, velvet ropes, or flashing lights. Just a razor-sharp mind, a tongue like a dagger, and 3 minutes of brutal common sense. That's all it took to shred De Niro's ego into glittering confetti and leave the audience howling.
Robert De Niro's 29-year-old child, Aaron, has come out as transgender. When the press asked her for comment, she said, "You talking to they, them?"
If you're loving this kind of chaos, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, because this story only gets wilder. It all started in classic De Niro fashion. Another interview, another meltdown, another dramatic rant that looked less like truth-telling and more like an Oscar audition gone wrong. You had to wonder, was he campaigning for Best Actor or just trying to score front-row seats at the Democratic National Convention? He was spitting venom like a man furious that Americans dare to think for themselves, without first asking for his approval.
And the star of Dirty Grandpa, Robert De Niro, getting censored by The View after raging like a bull who saw a red MAGA hat.
And they might think that it's going to make their life better, or they just want to, excuse my French, literally, it's almost like he wants to do the worst that he could possibly do to show this country. His
Jesse, I find that he's smartest when they drop his audio.
Then came Gutfeld, cool, calm, and wearing that trademark smirk that practically screamed, "This is about to break the internet." He opened with a jab so slick it burned. De Niro's not acting anymore. He's basically just a loud Yelp review in a suit. The audience exploded. Not the helpful kind of Yelp review, but the all-caps meltdown about a crooked coffee lid. The panel roared, and Gutfeld kept a swinging, each line sharper, funnier, and more devastating than the last. It wasn't just comedy, it was surgical roasting, and Hollywood hadn't seen a takedown this clean in years.
They can't see it themselves, and they're not surrounded by people telling them that they have a problem, and they lack self-awareness because everybody either tells them they're wonderful or wants to sell. So he has no clue what he's doing, and he's upset over the emotional nature. His anger is emotional about Trump. It's nothing practical.
It was mesmerizing. De Niro, once the legend of complex characters, had reduced himself to one tired role. The furious old man yelling at clouds, waiting for the weather to apologize. But Gutfeld wasn't just mocking. He was holding up a mirror. And what stared back was both hilarious and painfully real. De Niro, the untouchable icon, now sounded like that one uncle who ruins Thanksgiving by preaching MSNBC as gospel. Then came Gutfeld's killer line. I loved De Niro in Taxi Driver, loved him in Goodfellas, but maybe his best role was convincing us he had range beyond angry guy with clenched fists. He paused, leaned in, and finished him off. This guy said he wants to punch Trump in the face. Punch Trump? From a man who hasn't thrown a real punch since CGI was invented. Boom. Knockout heard across Hollywood.
Of course, the real story is how accusations of Trump's nutty behavior always ends up with the accusers acting nuttier. De Niro calls Trump crazy as he goes crazier. Adam Schiff calls Trump a liar as he makes up quotes. Dems talk about undermining institutions as they try to undermine an election. But when asked for reasons why Trump shouldn't be president, all Bobby had were sputtering F-bombs. His resistance had run out of script.
Let's be honest. If De Niro actually tried throwing a punch today, his shoulder would probably file for retirement. The audience roared, and Gutfeld grinned like the truth just slipped out. Then, with a sly grin, he shifted gears. Let's talk about real courage. De Niro's screaming about a president who's not even in office, surrounded by fans who cheer every F-bomb like he just cured cancer. That's not bravery. That's political karaoke. The crowd was eating it up. De Niro's idea of resistance? Ranting at teleprompters in $4,000 designer shoes while lecturing the middle class. Gutfeld just shook his head, watching the circus of self-importance play out before him.
Good time to reflect on how Americans fought and died so that we may enjoy the freedoms guaranteed to us by a democratic government. A government that, as President Lincoln said, of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye.
Ever notice how Hollywood elites love to talk about the people, yet never actually live like them? When was the last time De Niro stood in line at the DMV or flew coach without threatening to sue the air? Gutfeld, coffee in hand, raised an eyebrow and struck again. De Niro says Trump supporters are dangerous, but this is the same guy who spent decades glorifying gangsters and psychos. Now, apparently, red hats and tax cuts are the real villains. The irony was priceless. If you don't agree with him, congrats, you're suddenly the enemy of decency, according to the same man who starred in Dirty Grandpa. The crowd lost it, and Gutfeld smirked. Have you seen De Niro in interviews lately? He already knew the laughter that was coming.
Idiot is the president. The guy is a fool. Our government today, with the prompting of our baby in chief, has in chief, I call him.
That's some reliable source you got there. This is what moms call bad language, or what producers call great TV. The plan, get an irrational figure at peak derangement and goad him into snapping. It's like cabaret for the chronically obsessed.
De Niro doesn't talk anymore. He grumbles, like a raccoon fighting a leaf blower. Ask him a question, and he reacts as if you've declared war on his espresso machine. Gutfeld closed with a show-stopping truth bomb. De Niro's not mad at Trump. He's mad because people stopped pretending his opinion matters. He's bitter because the spotlight's faded. He peaked in the 90s, and now the only reason he lands on panels is because Sean Penn was busy. When the dust settled, Gutfeld leaned back, grinning like a man who knew he'd just wiped the floor. De Niro tried to play politics, but he got outclassed by humor, facts, and reality itself.
Robert De Niro graced the knitting circle in hell known as The View, where he tried to link random thoughts into a sentence. Joy was there to wind him up, since he's played some of the most unredeemable characters.
You have played some of the most really unredeemable characters. Travis Bickle. Travis Bickle was a psychopathic taxi driver. Jake LaMotta, who used to beat his wife, and he was in The Raging Bull. Is Trump worse than they are?
To me, he is. He has no understanding that I can see of the outside world other than anything around him. He has no idea of what his purpose in life is as the president should be, and that is to pull the country together, to be for the people, to heal wounds, not to open them up and pour salt on them.
De Niro clearly has thought about this. More so than his career, his choice of roles is now down to cinnamon and lobster.
Gutfeld didn't rage. He roasted with precision. No shouting, no theatrics, just cold, surgical truth. Ironically, that's exactly what De Niro used to do best. But this time, the script wasn't written in Hollywood. It was written by reality. And De Niro wasn't the star. He was the punchline. He still thinks he's a threat. Not the mobster kind, but the I scrolled Twitter, and now I'm a revolutionary kind. Gutfeld smirked. De Niro wants to matter. But at this point, the only thing he's resisting is time and maybe yelling at clouds. Once, he demanded artistic standards. Now, he stars in sequels nobody asked for and blames politics when they flop. People just aren't buying the act anymore.
Instead, he's obsessed with these hypothetical what-ifs that Trump is going to keep hold on to power. None of these things are true.
The panel couldn't stop laughing, not because it was cruel, but because it was accurate. Then Gutfeld dropped the truth bomb tone we all know too well. De Niro calls Trump a bully, but his whole strategy is threatening to punch people and growling like he's late for a nap. If that's moral authority, I'm a vegan life coach. The audience roared. Then he went for the math, the kind that stings. The man who built a career playing rebels and gangsters is now clutching pearls because people don't worship CNN. Line after line, Gutfeld dismantled the legend with laughter.
That article that you sent me about the last nights of John Belushi and how De Niro was there and just basically partied with him and then split. And it's just like, that's now I just think of him as a really stupid guy.
Well, he's got The Irishman coming out. That looks pretty good.
I'm going to go see it.
Yeah, we should go see it.
Robert De Niro once played mobsters who eliminated enemies with ice-cold precision. Now he's out here threatening to punch people on TV, as if that's saving democracy. I've seen harsher takedowns in Yelp reviews about soggy tacos. We all respect his legacy, sure. But watching De Niro rant these days feels like watching someone argue with a chair, and the chair's winning. Even those who agree with him politically are whispering, "Bob, maybe nap first, rant later." Gutfeld wasn't angry, he was thriving, because roasting De Niro isn't hard. It's practically a national pastime.
Time to reflect on how Americans fought and died so that we may enjoy the freedoms guaranteed to us by a democratic government. A government that, as President Lincoln said, of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms.
It's like watching slow-motion cardio, a grown man throwing tantrums and calling it Shakespeare. Then Greg Gutfeld dropped the final punch. De Niro thinks he's the conscience of America. He said, he's not. He's the voicemail you skip, the ad you mute, the grandpa repeating the same story, only now he's wearing a resistance shirt and begging for applause. The truth landed hard. De Niro didn't get destroyed because of politics. He got wrecked because he confused loudness with wisdom and fame with credibility. But Greg came armed with punchlines sharper than De Niro's latest reviews, and with more clarity than any slurred monologue Bob's delivered in years. De Niro came swinging with emotion. Gutfeld countered with precision, humor, and cold, hard truth. In the end, it wasn't just Greg who landed the knockout, it was reality itself.